Hey everybody, wanted to welcome you back to I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. This is your host, Slim,
And this is Black. Back at you.
and we're back with another one. All right. So today we actually have a little bit of different podcast going on. Today is a special one. And just for a little background here, we actually recorded this, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
I will say it's about a couple weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago. We actually recorded this episode, and the recording was horrible. I couldn't give that to y'all, so it was really bad. So, but either way, the content was good. It was just the actual microphones, everything like that was bad. We're like I said, we're trying to constantly improve our sound, improve our quality for you, and do everything we can to make it sound better and just give you a good, enjoyable podcast. So, here we are. We're back recording and we're going to go ahead and go through this again. And today we're actually going to be talking about anime. So I don't know if y'all remember when we were talking about it. It was during the Injustice episode, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it was during the Injustice episode. Black actually mentioned that he liked a manga named Berserk,
hmm
and we talked about actually kind of diving into different types of anime we like. So before we go any further, we wanted to tell all anime addicts out there, neither of us claim to be anime experts. Neither of us claim to be anime addicts. We do not normally like keep up with anime. We have our different other things that we like and we watch. Now, that being said, we do like anime.
hmm
Yeah. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off. This is gonna probably be another two episoder. And it may be a point where it sounds weird where I cut it off, whatever. But I don't know. I'm gonna try and see if I can break this off to where we can actually sound pretty good. But we're gonna start off with Black talking about Berserk. So let's go into your original what got you started on Berserk? How did you first notice it?
First noticed Berserk in the early 2000s. Um, I was really into renting out anime. Like Samurai Deep Kyo and stuff like that. Rurouni Kenshin, and I just happened to run across Berserk. Just trying to find a new anime to watch. So when I first my first experience with it, I couldn't stop watching it. Like
Mhm.
I had to. It's the story is so deep. I actually rented out the 1997 anime. Um, I didn't watch it in 1997. Of course,
Mhm.
it was made in 1997 to bring to light the from the manga all the way to the anime because that's where a lot of animes come from, the manga. And what happened was is that it's such a deep story, so bear with me. And I like to say to all those Berserk fans out there, uh, watch out for spoilers. I'm just letting you know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be talking about
You're
that you
right.
probably haven't even seen yet.
Right. So basically, yes, if you haven't seen any of these anime that we mentioned, we're telling you now there's going to be some spoilers on some of our anime. Before you get into Berserk, though, let me ask you, what was the first anime that you remember seeing?
My very first anime,
Yeah, the
I
first one
will
you remember
I will
seeing.
have to say my very first anime I saw was this anime called Riding Bean. And I don't know if you remember that. It was
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Riding Bean was this guy. His name was the Roadbuster.
Mhm.
You know, he was actually So you ever seen the what's the name of it with Jason Statham Transporter series?
Yeah, yeah.
He was sort of like that on the anime. He was
Okay.
sort of like a transporter.
Uh-huh.
He would do like odd jobs, or
Okay.
whatnot. So that's the first anime I actually saw, and I was kind of like, I said, I just like this art style. Uh, so I fell into that. I
Hmm.
even started watching that before Dragon Ball.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think back because I started watching different animes way back before because I don't think I was ever into Dragon Ball until I was older, till I was almost an adult, or I was already adult, like I was like 19 or something like that when I saw Dragon Ball. But um, I'm trying to remember. and I cannot remember the first anime that I saw. Back then they had Ninja Scroll, they had,
Mhm.
they had the Street Fighter movie. I remember the Street Fighter movie came out in the 90s,
Oh, yeah.
and then there was other anime that came out that, I'm gonna mention like one or two of them that actually came out when we were in high school. But I honestly don't remember which was my first anime that I saw that was like, okay, yeah, I actually like this art style and I like the way that they actually do things in anime.
Mhm.
Like it's hard to explain because like the
Yeah.
fighting in anime, which is something else I'm gonna talk about a little bit later on in one of the shows that I like. Uh the fighting is different,
Mhm.
it's like high speed fighting and sword slashes, or even if it's shooting. The shooting
Mhm.
is different,
Yep.
so it's almost ridiculous, but it's like really artistic.
Yeah.
So that's one of the best parts about anime, why I like and I really enjoy the anime that I actually do watch. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. That's something I didn't ask you last time was about, like when you started, what's the first one you remember? But yeah, I don't remember seeing it. So, go ahead and go into a little bit about Berserk for me.
Okay, well, Berserk was I'm not gonna say his name. I tried to mention his name the last. I know his first name is Kentaro. You know,
Mhm.
his last name I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm not even gonna bother saying it.
Yeah.
But it was created by Kentaro M.
Hmm.
I believe it was started in the manga. Actually, was started in the early '90s, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, but here's a little bit about the story. Uh, Now, there's different arcs with Berserk.
Hmm.
You know, uh, I know I mentioned it last time. I'm going to go into a bit more detail with the different arcs. I won't spend as much time on the Golden Age, but you actually start watching that anime in the Retribution arc,
Okay.
and the Retribution arc is after what happened to the main protagonist of the series,
Hmm.
Guts.
Hmm.
After what happens to him at the eclipse, I'm going to go ahead and blitz to the eclipse. You know, and I'm not going to really talk about his origin because you don't really see that in the anime. You
Yeah.
only see what he goes through in the Golden Age arc into to the Retribution arc.
Hmm.
But I will say this much about Guts, which is my favorite character out of the anime. Um, I would say this much: he is raw. He is the most one of the most dramatic characters I've ever witnessed in the anime. One thing about Berserk, when I say Guts is my favorite protagonist,
Hmm.
it's because there's like at least about three main protagonists. You know, you have Casca, who was part of the Band of the Hawk. You got Griffith, who is
Hmm.
the leader of the Band of the Hawk. And you got Guts, who never started out as a Band of the Hawk member, but ended up becoming a Band of the Hawk member later on.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna just say a little bit about his origin. He was born from a corpse. Uh
Yeah, that sounds wild. That
yeah,
was crazy.
that let me go ahead and for those of us who have never heard of Berserk, it's a dark anime,
Yeah.
a dark manga. So it's dark fantasy. So there's a lot of things that happen in Berserk where you feel where it's like it is. I'm just gonna say it's very dark.
Yeah.
So if you used to dark anime, you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So but let me get back to his origin. Like I say, he was born from a corpse. Um, he was picked up by uh what's his name, Gambino. Gambino was the leader of a mercenary band.
Okay.
Uh, with Gambino, his wife and his family traveled with him.
Hmm.
You know, mercenary brothers. He considered brothers
Right.
or whatnot. But so Shisu sees the baby. You know, baby has already dropped from the corpse as if she was actually in labor when they hung her because she was hanging from a tree.
Okay.
You know, as I said, it's dark.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but Shisu took pity on him. He took pity on the baby. Wanted the baby. Gambino was against it, but she took him anyways.
Mhm.
So Gambino raises Guts to be a warrior. Shisu dies because she fell ill. This is Berserk is in medieval time.
Yeah, okay.
So that is the backstory as far as the storyline is in medieval times, knights, mercenaries, all that stuff. So
So it's not just it's definitely they actually say it's definitely medieval times. They don't say something like, you know, in the far future or whatever. They actually give you like an actual time period.
mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yep, yep. It's in the medieval times. As a matter of fact, uh, as much as it's an anime, uh, you would really see you don't really see you see it in the art style,
Mhm.
but it's you won't see much of the Japanese culture in that anime. It's all medieval, all European. Uh, that's a European backdrop to
Mhm.
it. So, but anyways, blitzing forward, what happens with Guts and Gambino is that Gambino ends up trying to kill Guts
Mhm.
because in that time, in medieval times, there were a lot of beliefs, a lot of sayings.
Mhm.
If you picked up a baby from a corpse, that is a bad omen. So
That's
Gambino,
crazy they have actual bad omen for that specifically.
yeah, yeah, you'd be surprised how many bad omens they actually had back in the day.
Yeah.
Everything was a bad omen.
Mhm.
So um, so ends up Gambino ends up blaming Guts for Shisu dying and him getting injured in battle.
Mhm.
He ended up losing a leg, in one of their battles.
Yeah.
So Guts is going into his prime. He's beating a lot of he's winning a lot of battles. He's surviving,
Mhm.
while Gambino sit back injured, you know, being very envious of Guts
Yeah.
because the band starts to like him a lot. They're like,
Okay.
this kid is something else.
And he's still like what about like teenage
Yeah,
age this time? He's a teenager
he's a
and he's doing
teenager.
all that.
Yep.
That's
He's
crazy.
that tells you a little bit about who he is.
Yeah.
Because Guts is turns out Gambino tries to kill him.
Mhm.
You know, Guts ends up killing him, but the mercenary band, they think the rest of them think he murdered Gambino when he was just trying to defend himself.
Mhm.
He ends up getting out, uh, ends up getting away from him, almost dies in the process, but survives, ends up joining another mercenary band. So his story is he's going from mercenary band to mercenary band to mercenary band
Mhm.
until he runs into Griffith and the band
Okay.
of the Hawk.
Okay.
So there's this one battle. Let me. The reason why he's going from battlefield to battlefield because there's this 100-year war going on
Mhm.
between Midland and Tudor. These are different. These are different countries warring against each other.
And is this you said Tudor, so is this like the actual did they kinda work in the actual real Tudors? I know I'm saying this the wrong,
I,
Tudors, whatever, but
I
you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
The
I get
Tudors.
I get what you're saying. I believe that's where they got that from.
That's kinda
You know
dope.
that.
I love, like, shows and just different things, shows and movies that actually work in a little bit of history that's real. I love that kinda stuff.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
dope.
Yep. And I felt, like I said, there's a lot. It's very dark, and as you know, medieval times was very dark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
You
really
had
dark.
the Black Plague back then. You
Oh,
had
yeah.
you had all types of crazy stuff happening.
They
So
had, like, the craziest torture devices
yeah.
and
Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
you see a lot of that in Berserk as well.
Mhm.
So he ends up running into the Band of the Hawk. At the time, Band of the Hawk, they were so popular. That mercenary band was so popular. They were called Death on the Battlefield. If you encountered them, it's automatic death.
Right.
That's what they were called. So Guts ends up killing Bazuso, which is actually the captain of whatever army he's actually going against. It's
Mhm.
this big knight with a big like mace
Yeah.
or something like that. I believe he had a mace, and he no, I'm sorry, he has an axe. And he's really just annihilating anybody that tries to pass, because they're trying to get to the front gate or
Yeah.
whatnot, and he's just murdering anybody that passes by until he runs into Guts. You know what I'm saying? And Guts kills him like that. He
Wow.
wasn't not anticipating Guts' speed. He saw that Guts was a boy. I mean,
Mhm.
he's literally talking trash. He's like, "All the rest of you gonna sit up there and let a boy?" He
E
say,
everybody was sitting back and they was
eh,
like, "Whatever,
yeah,
he got it."
yeah. And you had the leader of Guts's army, the actual his boss, what you would call his boss, the the Midland the Midland general.
Mhm.
He's like, what are you doing just standing there? Go claim the bounty, which was Bazuso. It was a big bounty on his head to get him out the way.
Mhm.
And all the rest of the mercenary band was like, I ain't fighting him. That's not gonna happen.
Right,
You ain't paying me that much.
right.
So all of them step back, and all of a sudden you see Guts. Just he clears the crowd,
Uh-huh.
and he makes his way to the center, and everybody's just looking at him like, hey, he's just a boy. He's a kid,
Right.
you know. But and Bazooso's talking trash. He's like, "Don't y'all have any shame? You gonna sit and let a boy? Y'all?" And he says, "I admire your courage, boy, but you can step over here. You go feel my axe." In layman's terms, he didn't
Yeah,
exactly say that, but you get what I'm saying.
right.
And Guts kills him. He didn't anticipate Guts' speed or his power,
Mhm.
and Guts kills him on the actual animated movie. The three sets of I think it was Golden Age arc, the Battle for Dodri, and the Eclipse. You actually see him kill Bazuso. When he kills Bazuso, I'm just gonna say it's extremely graphic.
Yeah.
He splits his head.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, one eyeball stays the same, and one eyeball goes to the far left. It's extremely graphic.
Yeah, another part of anime is, they actually have some gruesome cuts.
Yeah, and it was extremely gruesome. But I just wanted just that's just that just tells you how powerful Guts is, even at a teenage
Mhm.
as a teenager.
Yeah.
So he ends up running into the Band of the Hawk. They win that battle. Guts wins that battle. He doesn't face anybody in the Band of the Hawk.
Mhm.
After the battle, Guts gets paid. You know, and the generals of that particular army who he was hired by, they're
Mhm.
trying to get him to stay.
Right.
And Guts is like, "No, I do my own thing. I'm not joining." He says, "You're gonna stay a grunt. You won't be have to risk your life." So he goes to try to keep Guts there. He grabs his arm,
Mhm.
and Guts does one of these numbers.
It's
"Don't
like,
touch me. Don't you ever touch me." So he's a serious young guy,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So he ends up leaving that particular battle, searching
Mhm.
for another battle, and the Band of Hawk absolutely they actually notice him walking by, and they say, "Hey, isn't that the guy that killed Bazuso?"
Yeah.
And it was like, "Yeah, he probably got a hefty purse on him. Let's go get him." So they try to rob Guts.
So they just saw him take out one of their biggest guys. And they were like, "Hey, it's a good idea. Let's go ahead and rob this dude."
It's crazy. And I thought the same thing because I was like, they gonna try to rob him? Like, y'all ain't very smart. But
Yeah, definitely
Corcus
not.
is one of those guys from the Band of Hawk. He's a real ignorant guy,
Mhm.
annoying guy. And he, like I said, he's the first one to be like, "Well, I was the one that was supposed to beat Bazuso," but he
Mhm.
goes to try to rob Guts. Guts ends up slaughtering him, cuts one
Uh-huh.
guy's arm off, and then so they get Casca, and this is when you find out who Casca is and how important she is to the story.
Mhm.
Casca is the second leader. She's second to Griffith,
Mhm.
so she's like a commander and she's a female.
Okay.
Gus doesn't know this at first when he fights her because she dressed like a knight. You know,
So are they like kind of respectful to her? Like,
well,
do
Gus was going to kill her just like he was going to kill everybody else.
I was gonna say, because being that this is medieval time and then they kind of have written it that way, I was just wondering how the rest of the soldiers and everyone else, well, soldiers, but the mercenaries,
Well,
view this person.
well, the Band of the Hawk, as far as Casca, they were scared of her.
Yeah.
The only one that could beat her in combat was Griffith.
Okay.
So all the rest of them fell in line when she said, these are Griffith's orders. You better tighten up,"
Right.
in layman's
Okay.
terms.
Okay. She's
So
just that bad. That's why.
she's bad, you know. So she ends up after Corcus and his the couple of guys he had with him, they end up getting annihilated. Not Corcus, he ended up living. That's because Casca came and saved him because Griffith said, "Hey, look, he's getting his butt handed to him. Go save him." And she's like, "It was Corcus's idea." And once Griffith says something, that's it. And she's
Hmm.
like, "Okay, I'll handle it." So she tries to go and stop Guts. Shoots him in the arm with the arrow. Guts pulls it out like it ain't nothing. And
It just wipes it off.
he ends up he ends up knocking her off the horse. And when he knocks her off the horse, that's her helmet falls out, and that's when he realizes she's a woman.
Mm,
And he ends up beating her back. It's just too much power. You
yeah.
know, So he's about to kill her. She trips over a rock and he's about to kill her. And a spear comes out of nowhere in between her and Guts.
Uh-huh.
It was Griffith. Griffith threw it.
Oh, okay.
And Griffith, they was like, "Oh yeah, you're done now, kid." They're all talking to Guts. "You're done now. You're done now. Griffith is gonna handle you." And Guts just look at him like, "Oh, you just like anybody else." So Guts goes to rush him. Griffith parries him and stabs him, but he didn't stab to kill him. he stabbed him so he'll live, so he'll stop attacking.
Slow down so he can actually talk. Like,
Hmm.
let's talk.
Let's talk. Because Griffiths was scoping him the whole time he was during the battle with Bazuso,
Mhm.
you know, and Griffiths wanted him to join the Band of the Hawk, you know. So after Guts recovers from the stab wound, you know, talks to Griffith, and whatnot, and even then, after he recovers, and Griffith throws him the hook, line, and sinker, saying, "Hey, look, join me. I didn't kill you because I want you to join me,"
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And Guts is like, "You want me to join you? Don't talk like you, my friend. Your people just tried to rob me,
Yeah.
you know." So he ends up fighting Griffith again. You know,
Oh my
they end up going at it again.
god. Uh-huh.
And Guts, he fights dirty, you know,
Uh-huh.
but Griffith ends up beating him again, of course, and
Mhm.
he ends up joining because that was the last fight for it. Like Griffith's like, well, if I give you this fight, what will you give me? And he's like, I'll give you I'll fight in your army, you know.
Mhm.
And Griffith was like, I enjoy selling things by force. So Griffith is a pretty slick guy too.
Yeah.
So he
He
ends up beating
lives for the
Guts.
fight.
Yeah, yeah, he ends up beating Guts the second time. So Guts joins. They have many battles and many things that happen, during the Golden Age arc and
Mhm.
whatnot. But everything changes when when Griffith has this speech.
Mhm.
They, like I said, they won many battles. Griffith ended up being knighted. Now he's a mercenary, but
Mhm.
he's actually been knighted. So he's a he has the most dangerous army in Midland right now. You know what I'm saying? Because he's
I
the
mean, it
leader.
sounds like it. It sounds like him
Yeah,
and his generals.
he's the man. You know, and he's got all these bad, no joke fighters.
Mhm.
You got Guts and you got Casca too on the same team.
Right.
So, they're the most dangerous army in Midland. So after, I believe they held the princess held a ball
Mhm.
and whatnot. Turns out you see a lot of the politics that happen within Midland, or within the medieval times. You got the king, and you got the knights, and you got jealousy and envy. You know, a lot of knights who
Mhm.
are already established, they were of noble blood.
Mhm.
They were envious of Griffith because he was not of noble blood, yet he is the most powerful. He has the most powerful army in Midland now. You know, so there were a lot of plots on his. There was a plot on his life,
Okay.
and after that plot on his life, they end up failing because the billet that Griffiths was wearing, which was a red bed, which is a red billet, and just as a quick overview, there's billets in Berserk. These billets were are keys,
Okay. Okay.
like doorways,
Okay.
to summon the higher, what they would call angels.
Mhm.
You would really call them demons though.
Okay.
But they grant powers. They let you transcend humanity. Um, that's some of the lore from Berserk
Mhm.
and whatnot. But the billet stops the arrow from killing Griffin. You
Okay.
know, and it's funny when that happens. Guts is like, everybody's like, "Oh man, you got the devil's own luck, boss." And Guts looks at it like, "Luck, that's some kind of luck,
Uh,
because that's highly unlikely that thing would stop an arrow."
right.
You know, so what happens is Griffith has a meeting with Guts,
Mhm.
and one of the guy that tried to kill him was one of the knights that was in Midland. You know, so he has Guts on a secret assignment, go assassinate that guy. And Guts does it. You know,
Uh-huh.
he assassinates him. And the whole the whole Midland is in an uproar because one of their knights died.
Yeah.
You know, so Guts is looking to act for Griffith after the assassination, and This is what changes the trajectory of everybody.
Mhm.
When he's looking for Griffith, he sees Casca. He's supposed to have joint training sessions with Casca. He never showed up. So Guts he ends up walking into this tavern or whatnot. Casca sees him. She's like, "Where were you? We were supposed to have joint sessions, and you never showed."
Mhm.
And he doesn't say anything. All he says is, "Griffith, where is he?" And she's like, "Well, he's at Primrose Palace having they invited him to the ball or whatnot,
Mhm.
because he's a knight. He does stuff like that. So he goes to the palace, and he actually, Casca follows him because she notices an arrow wound
Mhm.
during his assassination. When he assassinated the dude, ended up getting shot with an arrow,
Okay.
and Casca was like wondering where the arrow wound came from,
Mhm.
and then she puts two and two together because the whole court is in an uproar now.
Uh,
But after he actually sees I'm sorry, he actually sees Griffith talking to the princess.
mhm.
And the princess is like, "Well, you're such an amazing person, and I'm pretty sure everybody, I'm pretty sure they are friends. All your friends and your mercenary band love you." He's like, they're my willing and able soldiers. They're dedicated comrades, but I wouldn't call them friends."
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
then he goes into, a real friend would never rely on a dream from another guy. You know, he must find his own reason for living beyond me, and he
Mhm.
must put his heart and soul into and obtaining that dream,
Yeah.
even against me. That changed everything because Guts heard him say it.
Oh, was he actually so did he see, like, Guts listening to him, or was Guts
They did
kinda
not notice that him or Casca was there because Casca had followed him once she
Oh,
realized he had gotten shot.
okay.
Because right before he rose up on, they're kind of like behind bushes or whatnot.
Mhm, mhm.
They're not really in the open,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Well, look, let me wrap that up if you are going to speak with him."
Mhm.
Because Casca was that type of person. She was Griffith's number one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Alright.
So she looked out. You ain't gonna embarrass Griffith. Wrap that up. You know,
Mhm.
but she also heard what Griffith said as well.
Yeah.
So that changed the trajectory of Guts and his mind state. Because at first he's like, "Hey, look, at
But
the
what
time,"
about her, though? Like, did it also change it for her?
not in the sense of it changed her how she felt about Griffith,
Mhm.
because she loved Griffith on the low. That's a side story or whatnot, but
Right, okay.
she loved Griffith on the low. She had love for him.
Mhm.
Guts knew she had love for him, but Guts had love for her.
Right,
You know,
okay.
but it didn't change it in a way where where she her whole mind state changed. It changed it in a way where, because she ended up getting close to
Mhm.
Guts mind state, him changing what he thought, end
Mhm.
up changing her.
Okay, so with him being in love with her, right? He was basically Guts was basically in love with Casca.
Mhm.
So, with him being in love with her, how did that affect the relationship as far as going forward, them, with them being mercenaries? Did it really have, like, a big hit on the relationship?
You wouldn't be able to tell within the early parts of the Golden Age arc that Guts had love for her. There were little things, because she would say certain things that would just get on, because they did not get along.
Mhm, mhm.
And the reason for
Oh, it
that,
was one of those things where they didn't get
yeah,
along at
yeah,
first, but then
yeah,
they fell in
yeah,
love. Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
exactly, opposites attract.
Yeah, yeah.
So they did not get along at all. She couldn't understand why Griffith valued Guts so highly,
Mhm,
and he had never spoken about Guts about any other soldier like he had spoke about Guts.
mhm,
And he freely, like, Guts. There were certain things. I mean, Griffith would put his life on the line for Guts
mhm.
during a battle.
Yeah.
There was actually this battle between this guy named Nosferatu Zod,
Mhm,
which he's actually an apostle. He had a Baalid, transcended humanity. At first, he was known as uh, the Lord of War.
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know, in Berserk terms. You
okay.
know, uh, they say he couldn't be killed or whatnot, so they end up Guts end up encountering him on the battlefield.
Mhm,
And he ended up turning into Guts end up besting him, one on one. He ended up turning into this big monster thing, looked like
mhm.
a big bull with horns, you know, and Guts couldn't believe it. Ends up almost killing Guts.
Uh,
Griffith saved him, but in his attempt to save Guts, Griffith got injured, and Koski just went berserk. It's because of you. The only thing that stopped Zod from killing both Guts and Griffith is because of that when he smacked Griffiths to the ground
Mhm.
and he's like, which one of you is gonna die first? And he's walking to Griffith and he's like, oh, I think it's gonna be you. But he sees the necklace, fall out his chest plate.
Mhm.
And he's like, what's this? A crimson ballet of the god hand? How can such a small lad like him obtain that?
Yeah.
Why does he have it? And it spooked him. It didn't spook him, but he's like, let me see. I haven't seen this double-edged ploy before. And he goes and hits the ceiling of the castle because he's trying to make an opening for him to get out.
Mhm.
But before he does that, he looks at Guts, because Guts is like, "Don't touch him, leave him alone."
Yeah.
And he looks at Guts, who's like, "I'm going to leave, but before I do, I want you to know this. If you think this man your friend, then understand when the what was his exact words? He says, when you regard one another as brother, and his ambition crumbles, you got no other choice but to meet your death. You cannot escape your fate." And he flies out. Gus doesn't even know what he's talking about
Oh,
at
wow.
this point. You know what I'm saying? But he
Yeah.
did notice that Zod flew off when he saw that necklace.
Okay. So, let me ask you about the Baelits. How do they attain them? Like,
They
is it
they they they're destined to flow to the person
okay.
that actually, like how Griffith got his. He was a boy,
Uh-huh.
and he ended up he's playing, nights or whatnot with other friends, and he's running past, and he sees this old fortune teller merchant lady,
Mhm.
and and she has one of them, you know, and he's like, I want that, and she's like, well, it flows to the person, you know, who's meant to have it anyways.
Is it kinda like a Green Lantern ring?
It's
Have you
no,
do you
it's like a necklace.
No, what I'm saying is, like, in that terms, the lantern ring finds the person, with the greatest will for that quadrant. So, is it like I'm saying, it finds the person it's supposed to be with, basically?
It it does, but indirectly.
Okay.
And when I say indirectly, it's fate how you can attain something. So
Oh, okay,
or
okay.
if you're meant to have something,
Mhm.
somehow, some way
It pops up
it
to you.
pops up to you.
Okay.
And that's what happened. I mean, what are the odds of him running into that lady?
Oh, okay.
But he does.
Mhm.
But it was all fate. It's all fate. So he ends up getting it, and she says, "Well, this Balin, if you have it, you're destined to become a king,"
Mhm.
which was a boy's dream back then anyway. Have
Mhm.
his own kingdom, become a great knight, all that stuff.
Okay, okay.
But for your own flesh and blood. That's what the lady said.
That's
You know,
crazy.
S-
That's
but
just nuts, man.
you're a boy, and you don't even know it's my own flesh and blood. Well, I guess what I got to fight for it. I might get maimed or something, or I might get my blood might flow.
Mhm.
That might have been going through his head, but at the end of the day, it didn't spook him. He wanted it, and
Yeah.
he got it.
So, how many seasons right now is going on?
Right now, there's no Berserk anime. I believe they had made like a TV series
Mhm.
after the movies, the three movies.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
And
so
then
okay, I misunderstood. So they're
mhm.
all just strictly movies. I thought it was like an anime series.
Oh
So,
well, it was, but there's different versions,
oh, okay,
that's
you're
the
talking
thing.
about the Golden Age, and the Golden Age is actually movies.
No, they're all the Golden Age is a movie. The
Yeah.
whole
Okay.
Golden Age arc is a movie.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
But on the 1997 anime,
Mhm.
they covered the Golden Age arc then too.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So like I said, the Golden Age arc is the most popular arc. That's
Mhm.
why they've redone it so many times.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
So when they had the 1997
Mhm.
one, uh, and that was done. That was
Mhm.
done after the eclipse.
Okay.
You know, then they end up Berserk is so popular, they end up remaking it,
Mhm.
you know, in the movies, and then they made the TV series, and
Mhm.
that's the last we heard of it. The TV series was during they had the Retribution arc on the TV series.
What did you see the TV series on? Like, what channel was it on? Like Adult Swim, or was it
I
something else?
believe I
It was
forgot
Crunchyroll.
I forgot what channel it was because
Mhm.
I didn't watch too many. because the art style from the movies to the TV series had gotten kind of downgraded,
Mhm, mhm.
and I just didn't like the art style, you
Yeah,
know. But and then like I said, there's certain things that they don't show. Like I've read the manga, so I know
yeah.
exactly what happens. You know,
What's your choice? You prefer the manga or you prefer the actual,
it has to be. I prefer the manga because the manga it goes over. You miss things with the anime because they can't condense all that story
mhm, mhm.
into a TV series or movies. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, Berserk is huge. It has so many episodes, like 300 something episodes,
Yeah.
chapters and
Okay.
whatnot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's big. It's big. Pushing forward, Guts ends up leaving the Band of the Hawk.
Mhm,
You know, after they win against Doldry, which after they end the 100-Year War, Griffith they end up making Griff a general, a White Knight general in
mhm.
Midland's army. Guts was like, well, I've got to go and maintain my own dream. If I were to be what he really wants to be is on the same playing field as Griffith. When I say that, he wants to be considered his friend. So he's going after his own dream. But here's the kicker: Griffith don't want him to leave. Griffiths have grown so accustomed to Guts' skill and being in his army, he feels as if he leaves, he may fail. So when Guts is ready to leave and he's ready to go, Griffith is out there with Corcus and all the rest of the guys from the all the rest of the important guys from the Band of the Hawk. Um, they're out there with him, and Casca, Casca Ben knew that he was going to leave
Yeah.
because he did tell Casca that Casca's out there too. He sees Griffith, and Griffith's like, "Are you leaving?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "So you abandoning the Band of the Hawk?"
Wow, that's crazy.
And Guts like, "I'm sorry." So Griffith in his head, he's like, he's already thinking like, well, you're not gonna leave. So he draws his sword. Now they've been battling, as friends. Guts assassinated a guy for you,
Mhm.
and you draw your sword against him. So all this stuff is starting to kick up, and you're like, how could you draw your sword against
So,
Guts?
Griffith has no true loyalty, basically.
He has loyalty to
He
himself.
Yeah, so he
His
has
his
loyalty, but
his
I'm saying,
dream.
like, for yeah,
Yeah.
so only his dream, yeah,
His dream,
basically.
and that right there for those who actually experience Berserk,
Mhm.
you'll understand that Griffith's dream is what makes him and what ultimately destroys him.
Yeah.
Because in order to maintain his dream, he feels like I need Guts because Guts it just doesn't seem like anybody can stop him, you
Mhm.
know. But Guts had heard what you said, and that's why I say that particular speech that he had with the princess,
Yeah.
where he didn't think Guts was listening, he didn't
That's
think
what
anybody
messed him
else was
up.
out there. That was kind of set the downfall. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Because Guts was like, well, in order for me to really be his friend, I
Mhm.
gotta go out and get my own. I gotta go out and be somebody on my own,
Yeah.
you know, maintain my own.
So he basically screwed himself by actually saying that, thinking that nobody else was listening. But you still, like, if that's your mentality, then what purpose does that dude have to be around you? You know,
There you go.
it's like
I'm
it's
like,
like,
if I can't be your friend, you know, unless I obtain my own, you know,
he,
and I don't even have my own dream,
hmm
then I need to go out and find out what my dream is.
he basically left what was his original family for this group, and then the dude was just like, yo, you really just a tool to me. You're not anything else.
They were all and that's what you realize how arrogant Griffith is,
Uh huh.
and you realize how sinister he can be. Because I mean, he first showed a sinister nature when he was plotting to assassinate the knight, and that's when you start realizing like Griffith is not who we think he is.
Hmm.
You know, Griffith has a dark side to him.
Yeah.
You know, so he ends up drawing the sword. Guts is so shocked, but he understands because remember, not 3 years ago, they battled each other for his loyalty.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So he's in his mind, he's like, well, nothing's really changed in these 3 years.
Yeah.
At least I'm important enough for you to bleed for again. You
Okay.
know,
Right.
so
So again, you're saying what you just described is the golden arc, correct?
hmm
So, and then there's a couple other arcs, right?
hmm
All right. So, we're not gonna dive into those because we're getting
Oh
close to
no.
time already. I was
Right,
like,
right.
phew, I was
Oh,
man, that
yeah.
time like rolled by that quickly, right?
Yeah.
Um, we're not gonna get roll into those because that sounds like man, this is really intricate. That is like a crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so funny between the time that we originally had the first recording and the time now. I had a chance to try to look it up and find it. I just
Mm,
didn't get a chance to really because I was still trying to finish the other series I'm gonna talk about on the next episode. Um, and I'm still trying to, kind of get information, different things like that. And
mm,
I was trying to bring myself to actually watch other different ones,
mm.
other animes like the ones that, y'all are about to be shocked here, but the one that Black and I both said that we haven't watched, One Piece. Never seen
No,
it.
I've never seen
Never
it.
seen Naruto.
Nope.
So I can, hear people screaming right now, what? But anyway, um, never seen Naruto, One Piece, Bleach.
Oh
I
yeah.
guess isn't that the
I
Trinity?
saw
I think that's the anime Trinity is what they call them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Bleach. I've seen some episodes of Bleach.
Okay, okay.
And it was all right. I ain't no big fan of Bleach though.
Yeah. I do wanna see, Bebop, just because it kinda looks cool, but I just
Mm,
haven't gotten to it yet.
mm,
So, but I was trying to watch some of those, um, but, uh, we do have a couple of other ones we're gonna talk about,
mm,
next episode. We're gonna talk about, just kind of, a little teaser, so hopefully y'all come back and listen. We're gonna talk about Attack on Titan.
mm. Oh yeah.
We're gonna talk about some other ones. I have actually the Street Fighter movie,
Mm,
and I wanted to bring up Ninja Scroll. We don't need to go into it again like we did before,
right.
but Ninja Scroll. I was thinking back on it after you refreshed my memory about it, and I do remember that like how intricate and the way that was also in feudal Japan,
Mm,
and that one was so good because of just like Jubei, the way like he was like calm, like
yep.
it was almost like he never broke a sweat,
Hmm.
you know, and he was like so dope with everything he did. He was fighting that big monster, which I don't remember the big one monster, like his first fight, his first
Hmm.
major fight, with just a one on one. The what were they called, the Devils or something like that, or
Yeah. The Eight Devils of Kamo.
yeah. So when he was fighting the first one of them, when he came up against that big guy, well, I said the first one, but then again, he cut the other guy in half first. But anyway,
Hmm.
when he fought the biggest one, you know, he took that dude on, even though he couldn't beat him, and then
Hmm.
he found a way to defeat him.
Hmm.
Even though he technically had help
Yeah.
from the girl, but that's another thing into the story that actually, if you haven't seen Ninja Scroll, you need to watch it because that is so dope, and just the
Indeed.
little different little things, man. I do remember this though when I saw Ninja Scroll. Um, the dude with the bees on his back freaked me out.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy with the wasp bat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when he died, it was like underwater because they ended up like killing him because he was like
Yeah.
underwater or whatever. But
They was just trying to escape.
right, But yeah, Ninja Scroll. So that one, it was so good, that I almost wanna say that's the first anime that I remember was officially an anime. Like,
Mm,
I probably watched anime before, um, and didn't even realize the anime until I saw Ninja Scroll,
mm,
but then again, I saw, like, I did see Ninja Scroll, I saw Ghost in the Shell, all those, like, classic anime ones, um, and, of course, Akira. We didn't talk about Akira last time.
mm.
So, that's something. Did you ever see it? You saw it?
I've never seen a cure, but
Oh
I
my
have seen
gosh.
Ghost in the Shell.
Okay. Yeah, Akira. They even had I think a live action version of Akira. I can't remember,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
it's
they
so
did.
funny. So
They
some of
did.
these live action ones, they've actually had like Attack on Titan.
Mm.
Yeah, they weren't all that good. They weren't all that good. So, but it was interesting to see them try to do this. But either way, um, so right now we're gonna go ahead and cut the episode right now, so we can go ahead and go into the other one. The next episode we're gonna talk about other anime shows that we both like, and I'm gonna go into a couple of mine that I like, and different things like that. But uh, for right now, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and break it off here, and we're gonna come back to you. Just please come back with and listen up to our next episode more. For now, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at told my wife podcast at gmail.com. You can actually find us on Instagram at Told My Wife Podcast. Facebook, you can also find us. I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. But until then, this is Slim
This is Black.
telling you to please come back to us. uh, we're improving. We're getting better. We actually have a whole bunch of more topics to come up with. I'm
Mhm.
gonna talk about some things in the next podcast. Some of the things that we have coming up, some ideas that we actually came up with. So come back and happy watching, everyone.